The Last Journey. Chapter 8.
As I said, when Jorrell returned from his adventure aboard the Archon ships, Lieutenant Commander Barbara Steele was all over him like the aroma of Chanel No. 5 on a sweet young debutante at her coming-out cotillion. It warmed my crotchety old heart to see these two young people so obviously infatuated with each other. I could only hope that it grew into a true lifelong love. We, on the Constitution, had been quite fortunate in that regard. My son JR had grown up on the ship and was now pursuing a naval career, beginning classes at Annapolis. My dear T. Vass was expecting in just 6 months. Our ship had 30 children from 3 years old to 18, boys and girls, loved by every member of our crew. Our crew took great pride in our kids. They were all loving, loyal, smart, and ambitious, a credit to their families and our ship. We had never been concerned about race, color, stature, or gender. We had a history of interacting with people of so many species that the coupling of Jorrell and Barbara was just another case of our lack of prejudices. In fact, every crewman was happy for them. But we often joked about them being a Mud and Jeff couple. In our conference room, I asked Captain Jorrell to report his activities aboard the Archon ship. He first told us he had been on 12 Archon ships. He had been teleported aboard the first Archon ship from our engineering division to the unoccupied corridor. He quickly heard footsteps, and an Archon security crewman approached his corridor, allowing Jorrell to incapacitate him. One good uppercut and the crewman was out like a light. Using parts of the crewman's clothing, Jorrell gagged the man, bound him using zip ties. Then he pulled the crewman into an empty cabin. Just before closing the door on that cabin, another crewman approached, and Jorrell again used his uppercut to subdue the second man. He knew where he had to strike. He walked to auxiliary control. There in auxiliary control, the captain encountered 7 Archons. Using his laser set on stun, he incapacitated 3 of them immediately. Then he was pounced upon by the other 4 crewmen. However, these 4 Archons only got in each other's way, and Jorrell's uppercut knocked 2 attackers. The remaining 2 squared off on our friend. However, Jorrell was endowed with extraordinary strength and agility, and he quickly subdued the 2 remaining crewmen. He bound the Archons with strips of their clothing and zip ties, pulling them over to a wall. He stacked them like so much cordwood. Now in control of auxiliary control, he disabled their screens and weapons. As he told his story, Barbara clung to him tighter and tighter until he winced and started to pass out. Barbara let go, and he slid down to the floor, unconscious. T. Vass stepped over and unbuttoned his tunic, and we saw a blood-soaked bandage covering his mid-torso from side to side. She stopped the meeting and hurried him to sick bay. She stabilized him and sewed up his injuries. I said injuries. His arms, legs, back, and head all had severe injuries that needed the attention of our ship's surgeon. It would be a few days, if not weeks, before we got the whole story. Meanwhile, we continued to race to Thanatos at UL-19. Suddenly our computer said,
"Captain, we have entered the sector that is identical to the star charts given us by Captain Jorrell."
Lieutenant Commander Steele was spending time with Captain Jorrell and had been replaced by Lieutenant Quinn. Lieutenant Sally Quinn looked at me.
"Captain, continue course and speed."
I answered, "Sally, we still don't know where we are. Continue course and speed."
Aye, sir."
I heard Kate in the sensor lab.
"Captain, there's a ship just to port, seems dead, no life signs, no energy emissions, no movement."
I replied, "Sally, let's see what we have here. Number 1, choose a team and check it out." T-Sun replied.
Aye, sir. Hank, Quinn, Steve, you're with me. Chief Briggs, I need 2 security crewmen to meet in the teleporter room.
Tall spoke.
"Commander, I never get to do the exciting things. May I go with you?"
She answered.
Okay, Steve, take Tal's place.
In the teleporter room.
Environmental suits, lasers, personal shields. Take care, lasers on stun. Let's go.
T-Sun and her team teleported to the derelict and found exactly what Kate had reported. Using their unicorder, the team found that the derelict was approximately 10,000 years old. No power was available, and no bodies, bones, or evidence that anybody had been aboard for more than 10,000 years. Their unicorder recorded and analyzed the ship. T-Sun called for George to teleport to the ship to assist the team in finding and recovering anything from the ship's computer. Tal found what he thought was the computer bay and reported it to T-Sun. Then he looked into the system's interior and found some very familiar circuitry. He determined that the system operated on electricity, not some esoteric power system. He saw the power cable and began to follow it, using his unicorder, to find the power source. He discovered what seemed like the engine room and generator, to which the power cable seemed to be attached. Tal sought out George and showed him the generator and the computer system. George and his crew removed the computer's power supply and reverse engineered it. The engineers surmised that the input power should have been 200 volts of alternating current, AC, and the output should result in 5 volts of direct current, DC. They checked over the generator and found it powered by cobalt-60. George mused.
That's a unique approach, but I guess it worked. We'll just bring over one of our portable units and see what the computer will give us.
T-Sun ordered the team to return to the Constitution before any power was applied to anything. George, Tal, and T-Sun applied power to the computer and waited for the system to boot up. Tal asked.
How will we know when the computer is operational?
The three heard.
I am operational.
George looked up, Tal nodded, and T-Sun jumped. Tal said, "Computer, what happened to your crew?"
The ship had exhausted its fuel, and the crew left in the escape pods hoping to find a habitable planet to colonize. More than that is not known.
Tal asked.
Computer, please download your star charts to this device.
Holding out his unicorder. They heard the computer say.
The star charts have been downloaded.
George said.
Computer, we are going to have to shut you down for a time.
Acknowledged.
George called me and told me that this ship was ancient but had technology that needed to be studied.
The computer spoke to us in English. I can't help but to want to study the entire ship myself. This is the find of a millennium. We should take in tow, sir.
I asked, could we stash it someplace and return when we know we can get home? He said.
Yeah, we could, but I think we should keep it with us, so that our chances of keeping it are better.
All right, George, let's tie it to our belly and drag it along. It's on you, my friend. He smiled.
Thank you, sir.
Meanwhile, Jorrell grew stronger and stronger, his wounds healing with time. He recounted his daring escapade to the crew, detailing how he had managed to infiltrate and sabotage multiple enemy ships. The crew listened in awe as Jorrell's exploits unfolded before them. He paused briefly to catch his breath before continuing his report, his voice steady and resolute.
I used my laser to fuse the controls in the inactive position and then reprogrammed the navigational computer.
Jorrell resumed, his eyes reflecting the intensity of his memories.
Then, as I started towards their teleporter, I was confronted by 3 security crewmen. That's when I got the slice in my belly, but the guy responsible suddenly found his knife in a far less desirable place. The screams that followed were cathartic for me.
Barbara, who had been hanging on to his every word, looked at Jorrell with a mixture of admiration and concern.
Oh, Joe.
She whispered, her voice tinged with emotion. He offered her a reassuring smile and drew her into a warm embrace, the two of them finding solace in each other's presence. Feeling the weight of his injuries, they decided to excuse themselves and retreat to their cabin. Observing the interaction, I took charge of the situation. Number 1, I addressed my first officer, please provide Captain Jorrell with a uniform, specifically the rank of Lieutenant Commander, and ask him to wear it while on duty. T-Sun acknowledged my request with a smile and a nod, swiftly attending to the task. The following morning found Barbara and Jorrell working together at the helm. As she watched him navigate flawlessly through the tasks, her admiration for his skills and resilience deepened. A renewed sense of camaraderie and unity began to emerge among the crew, encouraged by Jorrell's fearless inspiring actions. At midday, I directed Jorrell join Hank at the navigation station for a while, encouraging the exchange of knowledge and expertise between the capable officers. As the ship sailed through the vast expanse of space, the bonds between the crew grew stronger, forged in the crucible of challenges and triumphs. Jorrell's tale of courage had left an indelible mark on the ship's history, serving as a reminder that determination, ingenuity, and unwavering courage could overcome even the most daunting odds. With his rank officially recognized and his capabilities proven beyond doubt, Lieutenant Commander Jorrell continued to inspire the crew towards new horizons, their shared journey propelled by the strength of unity and the pursuit of a brighter future in the cosmos. The days that followed were filled with a renewed sense of purpose and camaraderie aboard the ship. Commander Jorrell's actions inspired the crew to push their limits and work together with newfound determination. As they encountered various challenges and opportunities on their journey through space, Jorrell's leadership style meshing seamlessly with my own began to resonate deeply with the crew. Barbara, in particular, found herself increasingly drawn to Jorrell's qualities. She admired his courage, his ability to remain composed under pressure, and his unwavering commitment to the safety and success of the crew. Their relationship blossomed into a deeper connection as they spent more time together on and off duty. One day, as they gazed out at the vast expanse of stars from the ship's observation deck, Jorrell turned to Barbara with a smile.
You know,
He began.
when I first joined this crew, I never imagined I'd end up in battle against enemy ships. But every challenge we face has shown me how strong we can be when standing together.
Barbara nodded in agreement.
It's incredible how you've managed to inspire everyone, Joe. Your actions speak louder than words, and the crew looks up to you.
And she smiled at her own words. Jorrell's gaze softened as he looked at Barbara.
I couldn't have done any of this without your support, Barbara. Having you by my side has given me the strength to keep pushing forward.
Their eyes locked, and in that moment, the unspoken feelings between them were tangible. As the ship continued its journey, their bond deepened, and their connection grew stronger with each passing day. I heard,
Captain, alien ship 15 degrees off the starboard side, 2,000 kilometers.
I ordered, helm 15 degrees starboard, SL-10, and all stop. Tal, hail that ship. Tal spoke.
Unknown ship, this is the USS Constitution of the United System Federation Navy.
In response, we heard,
Constitution, this is the flame bird of the Celestari Compendium, Captain 2 Stars commanding. State your mission.
I responded, Flame Bird, I am Captain David Stevens of the USS Constitution. Our mission is the exploration of this sector. And your mission? Captain 2 Stars replied.
Exploration as well.
That fateful meeting brought us face to face with an enigmatic alien species known as the Celestari. These beings possessed advanced technology and a profound understanding of the cosmos. Despite their initially aloof demeanor, the Celestari recognized the potential within my crew and offered to share their knowledge in exchange for mutual cooperation. Our first encounter team's diplomatic skills were put to the test as they navigated the complex negotiations with the Celestari. Through their efforts, a draft treaty was established that would allow us access to valuable resources and insights, while the Celestari would benefit from the crew's expertise in certain other areas, especially engineering and innovations. The Celestari offered their star charts, perhaps to help us find our way home. However, even though this expanded our star charts and did fit with those we had expanded ourselves and the ones from Jorrell, we were still lost, and so was Jorrell, but we had found his sector. His loss was his heart to Commander Steele. 5 of us sat in my ready room talking, Captain Jorrell, Lieutenant Commander Barbara Steele, T. Sun, my first officer, T. Vass, my wife, and our ship surgeon. Captain Jorrell said,
Captain, I can now get home. But I don't want to leave Barbara.
T. Sun asked.
Barbara, how do you feel?
She answered,
I'm in love with Jorrell, but I have so many friends on the Constitution. I want to stay here, but I want to be with Jorrell.
She started crying.
I don't know what to do. Help me, please.
T. Vass said,
I did a DNA comparison when we found Jorrell, and our DNA is a good match, and you should be able to conceive and bear children.
I thought and spoke. We'll go to Jorrell's world and meet with the people, perhaps negotiate a mutual defense treaty and a mutual trade agreement. That would take some time, and you two can take shore leave for a month. That'll give you time to make your decision. Captain Jorrell, I have the authority to award you a commission in the United System Federation Navy. I would gladly accept you as a member of our crew. Barbara, we would be poorer if you chose to stay with Jorrell on his world, but I believe you could be happy, and you could always change your mind sometime down the track. It's up to you two kids. Barbara and Jorrell both smiled. Jorrell said,
Captain, now we have some decisions to make. Thank you, sir.
I ordered, all right, Commander Jorrell, navigate to your world, Commander Steele, get us there. Let's get back to work. Everyone filed out except T-Sun and Barbara.
Captain, I thank you for your wisdom. He is a lot like you, sir. Just not quite as tall.
And she giggled and kissed me on my cheek. T-Sun smiled.
Sir, that was amazing. We might make it with your guidance.
I replied, Number 1, you have the con. We had about 2 weeks to travel before reaching Tatawan, Jorrell's home world. Barbara was jazzed, Jorrell was excited, the crew worked well, and we were anxious to find a place where we might be able to take a relaxing shore leave. Jorrell had expounded on the beauty of his home world, the friendliness of his people, and the variety we would find there. Sitting in the command chair, I asked, Helm, status? Barbara replied,
Green across the board, sir. Destination Tetawan, UL-16, sir.
I nodded. Hank, have you found the new star charts accurate? He replied.
Yes, sir. Spot on.
I turned to T-Sun. Number 1, is it just me, or is everything going too smoothly? She shrugged.
You just might be right. Things are going much too well. But the only thing we can do is keep on our chosen path. We are ready for just about anything, Captain. With you on the con, we will succeed in any endeavor.
Thank you, T-Sun. You're going to be one hell of a captain when we find our way home. T-Sun blushed and whispered.
Thank you, sir.
During our flight, the bond between Barbara and Jorrell deepened, and they came to me asking about marriage between our two civilizations. He had not proposed, but it was on their mind. I counseled patience and care. Move slowly, talk a lot, and strive to really know each other. Kids, you're young. There is something you want to do, yes, but you want to do it right. We arrived at Tatawan and obtained permission for our crew to take shore leave and come to know Jorrell's people. They were like Jorrell, small people but extraordinarily strong. The gravity of Tatawan was twice Earth normal, and even though we were a very fit people, we had a little trouble walking around Tatawan. A day on the planet was exhausting, but exciting and fun. Jorrell took Barbara to see the Diamond Falls, the seaside with black beach sand, the World Government Center, and the Triscope Entertainment Theater. They arrived back in the ship every evening exhausted but very happy. As we approached our 3rd week at Tatawan, I called and asked Jorrell and Barbara to talk with me. Kids, it's been almost 3 weeks, I need an answer. Barbara looked from Jorrell to me and spoke.
Captain, I want to stay on the Constitution. It's been my life, and I can't see staying on Tetawan.
Jorrell added.
Captain, I want to stay with you, Barbara, and the Constitution. I know that I will have to study for citizenship, and I will.
That being settled, I swore Jorrell into the United System Federation Navy and awarded him the rank of Lieutenant Commander.